Hey, I'm the Fight Night developer, Thomas LeBlanc. I also go by Bone on the internet. So this is not going to be a happy video for anybody who doesn't know what's going on. I'm facing some very serious allegations by my ex, which are completely, utterly false in every single respect. She's accusing me of sexual assault and abuse and stealing her work and racism and homophobia. I just want to be completely clear that none of this is true at all. I feel the need to make that more clear to people because it's doing a lot of damage to my life, which seems to have been the intent. So there's a lot of evidence that I didn't end up using the first time I made a rebuttal because I guess this was misguided, but it just didn't seem right to share it at the time. I can see now that that was a mistake because a lot of people felt that there wasn't enough context to my rebuttal to really make a determination. And I mean, I understand that, so that's what this video is going to be addressing. Really going into detail, really showing why these allegations are false. So I've got lots and lots of chat logs and voice recordings that show what I'm saying is true, and also show a side to the relationship I had with this person that they probably did not want other people to know about. And I don't really like that I have to do this, but I just don't really have a choice at this point, because this is basically my career at stake, my entire public persona. I mean, it's either I show people that this is false or I just leave the internet forever, which I'm not really willing to do, and that's not fair because all of these are lies. They're just straight up lies, and I will be showing that. So yeah, so we'll start with the most important thing, which is the sexual assault allegation, and going from there. So this is my ex's article on me, and it is very long. I'm not going to go through everything line by line. I'm going to focus in on the specific things that are actual allegations against me and my responses to them and the proof I have that shows that they're false. I will have all this stuff in the description. There'll be a Google Doc or something that links to archives of all this, because I'm not trying to hide or misrepresent anything. I'm just trying to show exactly what was alleged about me, and that those allegations are false. Yeah. So the actual source of this false sexual assault allegation is in her piece. She claims that after the breakup she had nightmares where I assaulted her. She then claims that with the help of a therapist in the last year, she decided to treat these nightmares as repressed memories. I just have to repeat that she doesn't actually claim to remember an instance of sexual assault. She's remembering nightmares that she had after we broke up, and then is claiming that as proof and that they're actually real memories. So I hope it goes without saying that this is very, very tenuous as evidence, if you can even call it that. And I mean, as you saw, my ex's article about me is very long. If there was, any kind of memory that she had about an actual instance of assault, I think you can be pretty sure that she would have written it into this article. But the only thing that's here is that she had nightmares after we broke up and decided to treat them as real memories. But this isn't even consistent with her own story, because this was not what she claimed a year ago, the first time she tried to allege that I had assaulted her. This is where this gets a lot more difficult to talk about, but I mean, I just have to get into it. So when we broke up, my ex went through some kind of, the only thing I can call it is like some kind of mental breakdown, and she started losing her grip on reality. And I'm not saying this to be ableist or to make fun of her or anything like that. It's just, it's very relevant to the claims that she's making, because that was when these nightmares, or whatever she calls them, surfaced. And they also surfaced at the same time as a lot of very strange and unhinged things that are clearly just impossible. So this is the allegation that she made about me in July 2020, a year ago, which was about a few weeks or like a month after we broke up. She's basically saying that I hypnotized her and repeatedly assaulted her across the entire relationship, and that I also hypnotized and mind broke anybody who got too close to her out of jealousy. In this, she's saying that I conditioned my friends to think that my ex hypnotized them, but that she reversed the hypnosis, and something about putting memories back, erasing memories, I suppose. Here's another post from the same thread where she says that she conditioned me to be afraid of whistleblowing, and then made something called a memory key with the name birds, which makes me terrified of birds, which prevents me from going outside. So here's a Discord log. This was with my ex talking to a few people who were considered close friends of hers at the time, and she says that she reverse engineered my hypnosis in order to give me a eating disorder, make me go bald, and make me terrified of birds again, and also to get my game cancelled, and also that I was torturing her. In this one, she's saying that I put my sister under hypnosis and my entire family, and that I tried to make her unable to leave, and that she reversed hypnotized me to be fat and unhappy and worthless. In this one, I honestly don't even really know what she's saying here. She seems to think that I'm in her Airbnb and injecting her with a syringe. In this one, she says that when I said, "you need to sleep," I was putting her under hypnosis, and that basically that there were, when I was telling her to drink water because she was dehydrated, I was actually hypnotically conditioning her to fall in love with me, and that they're gonna blame me when she dies. She also says in this log that she has a healthy separation of reality and fantasy. I remember during the last weeks of our relationship, she was getting very sick, and I was basically begging her to drink water because I knew she hadn't drunk anything in, like a day, or like, it would be like dinner time, and I know she hadn't drank anything all day. So I would ask her to drink water, and I would go downstairs and fill a glass of water for her to get her to drink, and she was very, very reluctant, and I didn't understand why until I saw this chat log. Yeah, so there's a lot of these, and I could go on, but I think you get the idea. I am going to play now a audio recording of my ex, which she sent to some people who were friends of hers at the time, and they really show how unhinged from reality my ex was at this point. Yeah, they're really not easy for me to listen to, but I think it's important to illustrate.
Canary mine. Canary, canary. There's so many birds. There's so many birds, he won't know which one. It's recording. He won't know which one I'm thinking of. There's so many birds. There's so many birds. Every single bird that you know, every single bird that you know will become something scary. It will be something scary to you. You won't know which one it is. Is that our robin? You won't know which one it is. You won't know which one it is. Which bird? Which bird? I don't know. Which bird is it? I don't know. I don't know. Stop. I don't know. Which bird?
So yeah, I don't really have any commentary on that, but hopefully that illustrates what I'm getting at. Not only the content, but that she even recorded it in the first place and then sent it to her friends and did not realize what it made her sound like, I think says a lot. And when you look at the chat logs that I've seen and you see the slow change of opinion from somebody who had regrets to the relationship but did not see it as abusive, to calling me a piece of shit and hoping that I get cancelled, to eventually calling me a hypno-rapist, and all of this within like 10 days of the breakup. I don't really know how to look at this other than just saying that she's making up a lie. This is just a lie, and I don't have any other way of getting around that. It's a lie that seems to have been made up to do the most damage to my life that is possible while minimizing the liability to herself. I'm gonna play another voice recording of my ex here.
I'm better than you. I'm better than you. You can't stop me. You can't stop me. I'm going to ruin your life. I am going to ruin your life. You're fucking going to jail. You're going to fucking jail.
Yeah, so my ex has a lot of mental issues, and I don't think it's really possible to deny that. But what's clear to me now is that there's also a lot of malice in the action she's taking. And I think that all of this is something that she's doing with complete awareness and intent to hurt me. The ways that she pivots her beliefs and what she says about me within, like, days of the breakup, flipping from one extreme to the other, are way too numerous and consistent for me to think that there's anything going on other than she's lying to hurt me on purpose. And I think that this malice is something that becomes apparent over time, and it became apparent to her support group that originally believed her accusations about me. In the article, there's a lot of anecdotes that my ex shares about her friends letting her down or betraying her, especially towards the end of the relationship. The reason all her friends withdrew their support from her is because she was posting these audio recordings, and it made it obvious to everybody how completely unhinged she was and how she was making up lies about me in order to try to ruin my life. And they all did not want to be associated with her anymore, and they all felt awful about having supported her in the first place. That is not a betrayal, that's a realization. That's also why I have these chat logs in the first place, and it's very fortunate that I do, because if it wasn't for these logs and these recordings, I wouldn't be able to defend myself. My ex tries to frame that as though they were doing something unjustified by saving these recordings. I really don't think that that's the case. Eventually my ex got back in contact with me, and I was able to talk with her, and she never really apologized, but she did make it clear that she at least didn't believe this stuff to be true anymore. But it seems like she has changed her mind on that. After everybody in her support group realized that she was lying and left, there was actually one person who stayed, doing what I can only call enabling her. He's written a couple articles about me that supposedly corroborate her allegations, but they're almost entirely just unrelated Discord drama and him just talking about how he never liked me, so I don't really have anything to say about them. In the conversations that this person had with my ex, he witnesses many things that she says which are completely divorced from reality, and over just completely agrees and never questions or pushes back in any way. They honestly make me feel a little bit sick to read. I don't really have any commentary, but I'm going to just leave these logs here and let you look at them. I'm going to address the writing contributions portion of this article now. Even though it might not seem like the most important thing, it's one of the things that's made me the angriest out of everything in this article, because it's really lying about how much she actually contributed to the game. She calls herself the writer, as though she is the primary contributor to the game, which is wrong. I mean, it's just wrong. I wrote like 95% of the script, and most of that was done either before my ex was involved in the game at all, or after her involvement when we'd broken up. So here's a really simple example of what is essentially a lie right off the bat. She claims to have written the copy for the game on the Steam page of Fight Night, and she uses this text snippet that is on the Steam page as an example. But I can actually prove that this is false, because that same body of text is at the very top of my Kickstarter page, which was published in 2017, and you can't edit that after the campaign ends. And my ex was not involved in the game until over a year after the Kickstarter ended. Even if we just stick to comparing these two paragraphs and ignore the fact that 3/4 of the Steam page is just directly copy-pasted from the Kickstarter, these two paragraphs are very close to identical. There's some slight wording changes and a couple extra sentences added in that were changed to reflect the way that the story had changed. But to say that she just wrote the whole thing and, doesn't even acknowledge the copy that she started with is a really good example of basically what she does for the entire rest of this, where she essentially claims to be the sole contributor to anything that she touches, even remotely, or anything that she even wants to touch, but doesn't. It's kind of like whatever part of the script she found that she liked, she's just sort of saying that she wrote it, even if she had absolutely nothing to do with it. We had finished wrapping up an iteration of the script that was technically feature complete, and we could have pushed the game out with it, but I wasn't happy about certain aspects of it, and I wanted to basically expand it a lot. My ex seemed very interested in helping out to write the game, and I wanted to give her the chance to help out, so I gave her the chance and I told her all the things that I wanted the script to have and so on, and she wrote a total of maybe 20 lines for the game out of thousands, and that was the total sum of her contribution across a 1.5 year gap where I was waiting for her to write the rest of the script, and she unfortunately was just not able to do that. There's obviously more to a story than just writing the line, and in that aspect my ex did contribute ideas. I have never denied that that is the case, but in terms of like pen to paper writing, she just did almost nothing. And to walk out of that experience and then call herself the writer is just a absolutely bold-faced lie, and it really deeply bothers me that she essentially claimed my work as her own. My ex is presenting an argument that she was not properly compensated for her work, and that's just not true. That is just a lie, because I ultimately paid her over 3 times the amount that she initially requested. I asked her if she wanted to keep her revenue share or if she would rather get an upfront payment, and she asked for an upfront payment, so that was what we did. She was happy with that amount. It was more than she'd asked for, and I thought we were square. But apparently, since that interaction, she has changed her mind and decided that it was not a correct amount of money. Well, I have to apologize, but that's just not how paying people works. We agreed on an amount based on the work that was done, and then I paid her that. It's not fair to say that I should change it after the fact, or that it wasn't actually enough all along. One of the other things that I'm going to be addressing is the accusations of being racist and homophobic, which I find to be absolutely ridiculous, and it really shows how much my ex is willing to twist things in order to fit the narrative that she wants to portray. So her proof of this supposed racism and homophobia is a few Steam groups that I'm in, which she has screen caps of here. And the first one here is the Cool Kids Club, which is 3 Ks. And the joke being that when you turn it into an acronym, it says KKK. This is a South Park joke. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that they're not even that bad on their own. But something that she cropped out of the screen caps is the fact that these are all from 2008. These are over 10 years old. I would have been 16 years old when I joined these groups. These are obviously immature jokes, but I don't think that that is a fair way to judge my character, I guess. And on top of that, I don't really like that I have to say this to defend myself, but I am bisexual, so it just makes absolutely no sense to be calling me homophobic. And my ex knows all this. This is a chat log of my ex admitting that she knows that all of these are jokes, and that she doesn't even think that they're that bad out of context. This is back in 2020, and this was something that we had, talked about at some point, and she was afraid that somebody would use it to try to cancel me, and I thought that that was ridiculous, but I guess she was right. I find this whole line of attack to be extremely hypocritical. My ex was always very un-PC with her language. She said on Twitter that she was just doing this to fit in and preemptively apologized, but these were from her support group server that was entirely made up of her closest friends. There's a lot of things that my ex seems to willfully misrepresent in order to completely change the character of what happened. About a week ago, my ex posted on her Twitter that I confessed. I was confused about what she was even talking about until I saw a cropped Discord log she posted of me. So ignoring the fact that calling it a confession is a torturous reading of even the screen cap, the full message with the second paragraph is me outright saying that I respected her boundaries. The only thing that's going on here is lying. My ex is not a stupid person. There's no way to misinterpret what I wrote. She's just lying. I think the main point here is that if someone is caught lying while making life-ruining accusations, I don't think that that's somebody that you can trust, especially when they're caught lying repeatedly, especially when there's a clip of them repeating a mantra about how they're going to ruin my life. I've tried to cover this from as many angles as possible and really go deep into the actual allegations and the actual proof that shows that they're false. I really didn't want to make this video at first. I almost didn't, but I realized that I would regret it for the rest of my life if I didn't defend myself in this moment. This is just so incredibly unfair. It's really difficult for me to talk about the relationship I had with this person, and I don't really want to, because that's not what this video is about. It's about how I'm innocent of these accusations. But we didn't have a happy relationship, and while I wasn't the perfect boyfriend, my ex has always had a dark side to them that I can only describe as vindictive and destructive. I think a few logs that I'm showing here demonstrate an emotional truth that, with all the evidence I've provided so far, they tell the story a lot better than I could put into words. And that's all I have left to say. If you've made it this far, thank you for hearing me out. I also want to add that I genuinely don't want any harm to come this person's way. I just want to be left alone. I just want to be able to make my game in peace and enjoy my life. I hope that I never have to defend myself in this way ever again.